I often wonder if there are contributing factors in the environment, whether they be social or economic, which contribute to the propensity for divorces even though couples vow to stay together for better or worse. In this presentation, we will view the percentages of the divorces by year based on the total ever married population compared to other factors within the environment to see if there are any correlations. If we look at a 6-year period from 2008 through 2014, we can see that New York is the lowest percentage of divorces at 1.1% in 2008, while the District of Columbia has the highest percentage of divorces at 2.3%. Each year, the highest and lowest states change. However, it looks like Nevada and the District of Columbia have generally high divorce rates across all years, and New Jersey seems to be pretty low. If we compare this to the overall averages across the 6-year time span, we can see there are quite a few states that actually have pretty high divorce rates. If we use our little top states to about 25, we can see that pretty much half of the United States has states with pretty high divorce rates. It got me to wonder whether there was an economic factor, such as unemployment rate, that could contribute to high divorce rates, especially considering that during this time period the economy was not real great. So to explore this theory, I plotted the average divorce for each state against the average unemployment rate for each state. And both of them were looking at the total population of those ages 15 years and older to see if there was a clear trend between the two rates. Starting in 2008, if we look at the progression across years, it's clear that really there is no definitive correlation overall between the unemployment rate and the divorce rate. If there was, I would be expecting to see the line either going from the bottom left to the top right, or from the top left to the bottom right. When discussing with others and their viewpoints, I wasn't sure what trend I was really looking for. There are some of the opinion that when the economy is bad, and with divorce being a costly process, couples would tend to stay together because they had no choice, while others had the opinion that when the economy is bad and a spouse becomes unemployed and can't find work, then maybe that would lead to tension in the marriage and result in divorce. To explore this thought process a little deeper, I looked at the overall trend across years between the unemployment and divorce rates. If we look at the time period between 2008 and 2011, the first argument would seem to be supported. In 2008, there was a high divorce rate and a low unemployment rate. In 2009, the unemployment rate shot up because of the late 2008 stock market crash and the banking industry failure that happened. At this point in time, the divorce rate actually went down, and as the unemployment rate rose, the divorce rate was still lower than the unemployment rate. So this all supports the argument, the first argument, that while the unemployment rate is high, people would be less likely to divorce because they can't afford it. However, if you look at the time frame between 2011, 2012, and further, you can see that as the unemployment rate starts to lower again, so does the divorce rate. So this information supports the opposing argument. In summary, this chart really shows that there isn't really a correlation between divorce rate and the unemployment rate. So then I started thinking about other non-economic factors that are emotion-provoking, that may cause contention in a marriage, and being that I live in a very sports-fanatical family, I immediately thought of sports. I began wondering whether the success or failure of the professional sports teams greatly affected the emotional well-being of relationships for those in the states where sports teams existed. I decided to take a look. First, I simply looked at the average divorce rates over the time period analyzed for all states who are home to professional sports. I recognize that the data is imperfect because there are sports fans across the country and world that are fans of teams in different states, and the New England area in particular is a mixture of fans across different states, but this is really just a directional analysis. This view really doesn't tell me much. Although my husband is a Dallas Cowboys fan, and so the fact that Texas is one of the higher divorce states wouldn't surprise me if there was a correlation. But all kidding aside, I really see nothing worth noting. However, if you look at this data at a point in time and try to find a correlation, one could try and make an argument. For example, in 2013, the Boston Red Sox won the World Series. If we look at the divorce rates in 2013, Massachusetts had one of the lowest divorce rates in the country at 1.1%. Looking at the Northeast region in general in 2013, we also see divorce rates in this year were very low. This one point in time could be misleading. If we simply changed our view to 2014, when the Boston Red Sox had a record of 71 wins and 91 losses, and they finished 25th out of 30th in the league, you can see that maybe there were some Maine fans that really had an emotional tie to the Red Sox, and it may have caused a little bit of strife in their relationships. But for the most part, there was really no change, and even Massachusetts was still at 1.1%. Continuing on the sports path, I pulled the rankings of the sports teams for each year from 2008 through 2014 and assigned a success factor value to each team. The team that won the championship that year received a value of 1. The teams that made the playoffs received a value of 2. Then teams that finished in the bottom third of the league received a value of 4. The last team in each league received a value of 5, and all the remaining teams received a value of 3. If we look at these average rankings compared to divorce rates across states, again, you can see there really isn't any true correlation between sports success and divorce rates. Even when you look at a specific sport, this isn't true. So we'll pick on Major League Baseball again. And if you look at 2008, it looks like, hey, there may be a real correlation. However, as we scroll through the years, we can see that really it was just an anomaly. And this is true for all the sports. So in summary, I failed at trying to find a correlation between unemployment or even the success of professional sports teams to the divorce rate. Overall, from 2008 to 2014, it is looking positive for marriages. There are more people starting to get married and staying married as the years progress. And the total number of people divorced is staying steady or even decreasing. So maybe after all, we will find our happily ever after. Thank you.